Here are 5 reasons why you should get your hands on the brand new Fujifilm X-T30 Mark III. From smarter autofocus to faster performance, all without losing that compact Fuji charm.
With upgrades drawn from Fuji's professional range, the X-T30 Mark III brings serious performance to a smaller body. Let's kick things off with one of the biggest upgrades under the hood.
First thing to notice with the camera is the upgraded processor. So we've got the X Processor 5, which is the same processor as the professional X-T5. So I'm hoping to expect to see, faster replay times, especially when we're going up into 6.2K resolution, that it deals well with the video, and especially, mixing that with film simulations. Hopefully we're just seeing a smooth operation, that to the level of a professional camera. So next up is a big improvement on the autofocus. So they're implementing AI, and we're getting better subject detection, eye detection. So if you're shooting video and you need continuous autofocus and tracking, hopefully that is all improved in the new X-T30. The next change, which is probably the most noticeable change, is this brand new film dial on top. As someone who shoots 35mm film regularly, I'm hoping that it will give it a nicer tactile feel and be a little easier to change the film dials. I know that was an issue with the previous model, trying to go through the menus, change the film simulation. This looks a lot easier to use, so I'm hoping that it makes the whole shooting experience nicer and easier. Whilst the camera does still have the same sensor as the previous model, there has been quite a few changes to the actual body. I have to say the build quality feels and looks a lot better than the previous model, and it looks very much like the more expensive X-T50. And the dials, it's those clicks that make it feel premium, it makes it feel more tactile and more expensive. So it's a definite positive. Another big upgrade is the video quality. So this now shoots 6.2K at 30 frames per second, which means you can also shoot 4K at 60 FPS, all of which is 422 10-bit internal. So I'm hoping that the 6.2, gives us a better, sharper image. I'm not sure whether it's going to change the colors at all. Hopefully there's not too much crop for it to not be worth it. So I'm interested to see how the 6.2K plays out.
Specs are one thing, but let's see how this all holds up on an actual shoot.
Just sit on this seat here for me. Okay, so we're going to do some portraits of Kira here, and we're going to really test out this new film dial here. So we've got loads of film simulations preset on this brand new dial. As someone who shoots film mostly, I love this feature. Fuji's colors are really, really close to actual true film. It's one of their big selling points. Okay, let's start with getting a couple straight down the lens. Yeah, so perfect. I'm just gonna pop the autofocus on your eyes there. Okay, and can we just look off to the left, to the side here a little? Amazing. And switch to portrait landscape. So portraits and stuff like this is where Fuji really shines. The film simulations are great with skin tones and greens, especially trees, grass, that sort of thing. This lens here, the 35 f2, is a really, really good pickup and a really cheap lens. I think it's only $200-300. It's super lightweight, great for your portraits, getting that nice blurred out background, which your kit lens doesn't quite get. So I'm going to have a quick run through all of the film presets that are on this new dial, just to get an idea of what they all look like. So Kira, if you could look straight down the lens, that'd be great, and we'll just flick through these. So we're starting on the classic negative. This is a personal favorite of mine. It's a really nice washed out look. And then we've got the nostalgic negative here. We've got a little more warmer tones with that one. And we've got the Pro Negative Standard, a bit more of a neutral looking film stock. Then we've got the Provia, a little bit more contrasty there. And then we're going through to the Provia Standard. It's very similar to the last one. And then we've got Velvia, so this is a really saturated image. Personally, not a favorite of mine, but. And then we've got Astia. This one's a little softer. That's nice. And classic Chrome, a little more washed out, desaturated. Reala Ace, nice. And then we've got Acros, our black and white there. And yeah, that's all the film dials. So you've got heaps to choose from there. And of course, you can always load in custom ones as well, and ones from online. So yeah, really impressed with that new dial. It's great, I love it.
Each film simulation brings a distinct look, from warm and nostalgic to sharp and saturated. Fuji really lets you craft your style straight out of camera.
Just out this way for me.
We did notice the kit lens struggled a little bit in low light, especially on the shadow side of the face. That's to be expected at this price point. Upgrading to something faster like the 50mm f2 makes a big difference.
Okay, Kira, if you could just stand here for me, we're just gonna get some shots. We've switched to a 50mm f2, so we get a nice dropped out background. So we've got a bit of depth here, we've got some colors, so we're gonna see how well the camera holds up with the colors, and you should be able to see a lot more depth in the image with this lens now. Okay, Kira, if you could just stand in between here, so we're going in between these poles basically. Amazing. Looking straight down the camera, that's perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, perfect. Just play with your hair like that, like brushing it up like you were with both hands. Amazing. Okay, so I'm shooting in classic negative at the moment. It's one of my favorite ones. It does wash out the pinks in the background here a little bit, but I find that the contrast is really nice, especially with skin tones.
Along with that lens test, we also wanted to show how the camera handled flash photography, especially in tricky lighting. Surprisingly, it held up well. Powerful enough to fill in the shadows even when competing with the sun. The results gave us that distinct 2000s digicam look, which is really on trend right now. A fun feature for creatives looking to experiment.
Now we're going to test the autofocus on the camera. So we're going to pop it on a gimbal, we're going to shoot some video, and we're going to test the subject tracking. As I was trying to basically change it into video mode, it took me a long time to figure it out. For some reason, they've decided to put all the shooting modes on the delete button here. Not the biggest fan of that. It seems a bit weird, but once you've got it, you know it's there. But yeah, it was a bit confusing at first.
Like its predecessor, the Mark III doesn't have in-body stabilization, so throwing it on the RS4 Mini was our best option on being able to capture buttery smooth video.
So as I'm looking back at the footage, I'm seeing that the continuous autofocus is holding really well. We've got a couple of shots of like moving around the players, and it seems to be tracking them really well, which is really impressive for, for the kit lens to be holding that well, and for a camera at this price to be doing that. It's really impressive. So yeah, it's looking good so far. We've done enough video now, so we're going to pop a prime lens on here and take some stills of these guys and see how they turn out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch it into tracking autofocus.
Once you get it locked on the player's face, it's going to track him.
Even with unpredictable motion, the AI tracking held steady on the player's face was smooth and responsive. Much better than I expected for this class of camera.
When shooting video in hot environments, especially like a day like today, which is like 39, 38 degrees, expect some overheating problems. It's going to happen, especially if you're shooting in 6K.
One thing I noticed was that the 6.2K is in fact a 3x2 image, but you're not actually losing any field of view. You're actually gaining pixels on top and the bottom of the screen, as you can see here with the 4K footage layered on top. One of the standout upgrades on the X-T30 Mark III is the 422 10-bit internal recording, something we usually only see on Fujifilm's higher-end cameras like the X-T5. Getting that kind of color depth and flexibility in a body this compact is impressive, especially for video shooters.
Okay, so now I'm testing the X-T30 in a vlogging environment. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a flip out screen, so I can't actually see what I'm filming right now, but I'm pretty confident that the autofocus will be tracking me and keeping me in focus, at least I hope so anyway. So if I do a full 360, hopefully it still tracks my face. Now, if you are shooting in daylight like this, you will need an ND filter to, make sure that you're getting a decent exposure. But if we have a look here at the 13mm, it seems, plenty wide enough to be doing vlogging. The only downside is that you can't actually see, what you're filming because you don't have that flip out screen. But this is being filmed in 4K, 25 frames per second. So, that should look good. Okay, so we're vlogging here in 6.2K 25 frames per second. Now there is crop on this, it's 3:2 instead of 16:9, but you can shoot up to 30 frames per second. So hopefully this looks a little bit sharper than the 4K. After shooting with the X-T30, I could tell the difference with the processing power. The playback was really fast and it implemented well with the autofocus, so everything ran pretty smoothly. Now we did encounter some overheating problems. If you're shooting in a hot environment, definitely be aware of this, especially when you're shooting at 6.2K. But overall, the processing power is definitely improved. As for the autofocus, the tracking seemed to be bang on. As I expected with the film dial, it's really, really great. Much easier to switch between those film simulations than previously where you had to go into the menu system, fiddle through. It is way, way nicer. And it also clicks really nicely. It's very satisfying, very tactile. So I think that was a great, great upgrade. Overall, using it, the build quality is sound. It's built really nicely. The dials click really nicely. The flash pops in and out smoothly. As for the actual build quality and design, I'm very happy with it. From my experience of shooting video, the 6.2K looked slightly better than the 4K. To be honest, you can't really tell much difference with the naked eye. Also most people won't have a 6K screen, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any use. If you are shooting social content where you need to crop, having that 6K resolution can be really helpful. We did encounter overheating problems with it though, which is to be expected when you're shooting 422 10-bit on such a small body, but just beware of that. There's a few items that I would recommend picking up to make shooting with this camera a little bit easier. Number one would be an ND filter. If you're shooting any sort of video, you need an ND filter. We used one today and it was super, super helpful to make sure that you can keep that aperture low and your shutter speed low enough to give you that nice motion blur. So if you are video shooting, an ND filter is a must. Another thing would be a couple of spare batteries. Inevitably, if you are shooting video, this is only a small battery, so you're going to drain through it relatively quickly. We went through about 2 or 3 today, so I would definitely recommend picking up a couple of those. Another thing would be a strap. I personally always use the Peak Design straps on my cameras, so something like the Peak Design Lite, or even just a small cuff, just to keep it held. I find that I've got quite large hands, so when I'm handling a small camera like this, I find that it's quite easy for me to slip. So something like a little cuff. One last thing to note is if you are vlogging or you're doing video and you need audio, make sure when you're using your wireless audio system that you get a 2.5mm jack. It's not a 3.5, so something to bear in mind if you are recording audio wirelessly through the camera. Overall, from my experience, I had a pretty good time with this camera. I was a bit apprehensive at first with the menu system, but after using it pretty quickly, I got used to it. Overall, the dials were great. The actual structure and way it feels was awesome. Is it a worthy upgrade if you've already got the X-T30 II? I'm not so sure. But if I had a mate who was, just upgrading from a DSLR or literally just starting in photography, wanted something that's not going to be too crazy expensive, but they're going to get high quality images and they don't have to worry about the editing or anything like that afterwards, then definitely I would recommend this. It's a great little travel camera and overall a really great camera for beginners or anyone who's looking to downsize from a slightly larger camera. That's everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to read more about the X-T30, check out our blog in the description and let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much. See you next time.